we have water in the workshop. Now, we have water coming into the workshop from 2 different sources, but one of which I cannot fix right now because it is the roof. The flashing has come loose on the roof. So that's another project for later. But for now, I can keep, and I always did keep, a trench right across here because we were waiting to be able to buy gravel to put in a French drain. Now we have now got, I think, all the supplies we need. So once this whole thing calms down a little bit, we will be putting a real French drain all along here and feeding it down. But as an emergency, I got out here yesterday while Henry was running the tractor and fixing the drainage problem in the backyard, and I dug a trench here in front of the door and directed the water down the hill. Now we do have a gutter here, and when I checked the gutter yesterday morning, before the rain started, the downspout had come off. So I fixed that, so it's got a bolt up there now, so it's not coming down again. And there used to be a short piece of gutter here. Heaven knows what happened to that. My suspicion is it blew away in a windstorm. So I just took a piece of CPVC and stuffed it on there because it's bigger than the downspout, so it directs the water. And you can see by the fact that it dug a small hole here, it did work yesterday. But what I did was I did a trench here, and what I always do is I berm up the dirt here so that it protects the edge of the driveway. I don't want it to be too close to the foundation of the building because that's not a good plan. You always want to keep water away from your foundations no matter what your foundations are made out of. And then I pull it along the side here. And this is a natural ditch here that has been here for quite a while. And I let it roll down and out into the field. So we're trying to direct it away from the driveway because we don't want it to add to the water that naturally collects on the driveway and runs downhill. So that's what I did yesterday while Henry was using the tractor. As I got out here, I actually used a hoe because this soil here has been moved a lot. So it is actually pretty sandy. And some of it's actually gravel fill like this. You can see this gravel fill is actually from when we put in the foundation here because it's got a cement slab. And yeah, first thing I did was just get the water away from the door. It had not gone in yesterday morning. It went in the day before. But it was getting a little close, kind of lapping at the door here. And then I got it so that I could drain this out. There's still a little puddle, but I'm not worried about that. But I didn't want it to have any kind of water pressure buildup. And what I'm actually going to do this morning is I'm actually going to lower just this one strip right there of gravel. I'll put that up here again. And it's kind of annoying having a trench in front of the door, but we're not going to be going out in and out very much right now. Normally, if it was going to be dry for several days, I would throw both of these doors open and run a fan to help dry it out in there. But I cannot do that right now because it wouldn't make any sense. So, because it would just get more water in, because we're barely sprinkling right now, but it's supposed to rain a lot more today. So we'll see what happens. At any rate, there's my ditch.
We've had drainage back here in the south yard for 12 or 13 years.
Right.
But yesterday, when the rain was hitting, Irene noticed that we had quite a lot of water buildup against the foundation here.
Right, and that's one of those things you have to be paying attention. If you're not in a hardscape situation where you've got cement and pavers and all that other stuff that is like an engineered situation, you need to be paying attention yourself. We've had this very well set up with good drainage for years, but to be honest, the last 4 or 5 years, we haven't needed it.
We never had much rain.
No, we never had much rain, never enough that would actually do any kind of, anything more than a little puddle. So yesterday I noticed that the water had built up against the foundation. Now, the last time that happened, well, you can see the actual line where the water rose up to yesterday. And the last time that happened was probably, I don't know, a long time ago.
Or about 14 years ago.
Yeah, about 14 years ago.
Now what happened in the ensuing years is that we'd have small rains, not a lot of rain, less than an inch. And I'd maintain this graded here, and then those small amounts of rain would wash the sand and silt down off the hill. Well, that was all well and good, but
we just sort of reached a critical factor yesterday.
Really glad that I had the tractor, because I needed to do some relatively large amounts of dirt moving.
Now, the first time this ever happened, we used a pickaxe and a shovel. The two of us got out here and just moved the dirt by hand. And that was fine. It worked. But in the long run, a tractor's a lot easier. So one of the first things I did before the rain started was I was pretty confident that we were going to fill the tank, the rainwater catchment tank, yesterday all the way. And I ran an overflow into this IBC tote, which is a food safe tote. So we expected that the rain yesterday would be so much that it would overflow this and need to somewhere to go, and we didn't want to waste it. So the first thing we're doing this morning is dramatically dropping the level of the rainwater catchment tank, the big black one here, and that is being put directly up into one of the storage tanks that we have up at the top of the hill for regular water. There is no way that we or anybody else are going to be able to haul water into here for at least, I would say at least a week, and it's supposed to rain again at the end of that week. So
it's going to be at least 4 days or 5 days before I can even consider picking up water. And if the weather forecast is right, we're going to have rain next Friday.
Right.
So that's not a good thing.
Right. So the plan is we'll just keep transferring water from this up into our regular tanks. We don't have to water the garden right now, which is the big thing. That's where the vast majority of our water consumption is. And we've been able to reduce the amount of water we use there by becoming more and more efficient. But the fact is, a plant requires a certain amount of water, especially when it's hot. And we had weeks that were 103, 104, and that's when you really use a huge amount of water. I was reading something yesterday that was saying that cucumbers need at least an inch of water a week in normal being, you know, like in the 70s. So by the time you get up to 100 degrees, they're drinking a lot more water than that every single day. My regular cucumber bucket, which is in the greenhouse, now you're not losing any to surrounding dirt there because it's all staying in that bucket. There are 5 cucumber plants in there, and I usually use, when it's hot, I probably use close to 5 gallons a day on just those plants.